Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. Coming in at number 3. That Jeff Bezos funded 11-minute space ride with Katy Perry and her friends did not really go into space. The Blue Origin flight with Katy Perry and 5 other women funded by Jeff Bezos did not really go into space like the media is portraying. They didn't actually experience microgravity either. Yes, technically the rocket delivered passengers beyond the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of space of 62 miles, but there was no orbital insertion. Not even close. The brief state of weightlessness during the ascent and descent was not due to escaping Earth's gravity, but because of a combination of free fall and the absence of a supporting force. Basically, it's a capsule launched really high and then it immediately falls back down to Earth. To add fuel to the fire, all that empowering women, Katy Perry's girl power crap, was all fake too. As the Hollywood elitist said herself in an interview immediately following the spectacle directed to all of her economically challenged fans, I highly recommend it. One small step for man, one giant bullshit story for mankind. At number 2, Chinese citizens expose Western media cover-up of the real origins of every luxury brand. China is protesting the recent Trump tariffs by exposing the most popular American brands through TikTok videos. China has confirmed that over 80% of the luxury items being purchased for tens of thousands of dollars are manufactured in China and packaged in the US. They're exposing how things are manufactured and encouraging you to buy direct from them for cheaper. Of course, the mainstream media is trying to spin this as best they can to conduct damage control by maintaining the narrative that China is bad, American capitalism good. The reality is that luxury items are a fraud, from designer purses and watches to shoes, and hell, most of the Trump products in the Trump store and Trump Hotel are also made in China. There's no denying it. The American people, trying to live the luxury life, have been played for fools this whole time. And coming in at number 1, biometric check-in is coming to all airports and there's nothing you can do about it. Biometric check-in at all airports is coming to a city near you, brought to you by the UN and the New World Order. New airport rules plan to get rid of boarding passes and check-in and go full digital. Passengers will have to download a biometric passport, drop off their luggage, and go through security after a face scan. By removing the paperwork, all of our personal data will be accessible through the face and body scan, which means our privacy and personal information will be 100% out of our hands. Of course, they'll have us believe this is for our own good, as usual. It makes things more convenient, saves time, sure, and don't forget their favorite go-to, they have to protect us from ourselves. But the reality is that it's a clear breach of our human rights and a total gateway to a global social credit system the TV series Black Mirror warned us about. No more waiting for a dystopian future to arrive. We're already living in it. Fortunately, we're here to bring you Top Censored News of the Week. There it is.
Matt, your social credit score is going down for playing that video.
Oh yeah, it's down. It's down. But this is why we got to do this stuff. We got to look at all the angles. Look, I do appreciate, like, you guys saw the Fox coverage there. They did cover it. It's not like they're not covering it. So the point of this is that you're going to get this little jaded spin on it. They're going to tell you the thing. You see, we look for these things, Craig. So when you look at that number 1 story, they're not going to not tell us. So they're saying, okay, gear up. You got to get your real ID. You got to get ready to do this. The worry is, we got to make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. But as long as everything's done on the up and up, everything will be great because you're going to be able to get to your destination faster. Everything will be a little more accommodating. Not only that, but we're protecting you from yourselves. This is the old tired diatribe we have from leftover from the terrorism days, the war on terror. We're still doing that 25 years later. And it's all about protecting you from yourself. And then you can feel more safe while you're on your plane. But they're only going to hint at the fact that, well, it could get into the wrong hands. But, they're not doing this for deliberately diabolical reasons. That would not be the case. They're doing this to help you. We'll just have to be careful about it. That's the spin. And we got to understand that it's worse than that. And that's why we're talking about this right now.
So when you talk about angles, and I think that's the best way to look at it, because there are different angles to look at it, and I do appreciate, I'm known as the guy, right, in my group, there's the happy-go-lucky guy, the chum, the mensch, the guy who looks at things half full. But, you know, I've been black-pilled a little bit because I do have this kind of like, oh, no matter what, this negative feeling against things. But the angle I think we need to look at, when we did see it on Fox News, and that guy, Clay Travis, I've been trying to get a hold of him to have a show with him. None of these people will sit down with us and have us on their shows. These Libby Evans, these Tim Cast, right? These Clay Travises, none of them. I mean, I was on stage with them, with Libby Evans and Joe Allen. John Allen, is it Joe Allen? I think his name is, from the Bannon show, and Lauren Chen. And, you know, I respectfully, we had a great conversation, but I wiped the floor with them. But you'd think they'd want to have have conversations with common sense leftists, and they don't. They stay very tribal. And the thing that's really driving me crazy is, do you have the Snow Himbo video, by the way?
No.
I'm going to put it in the private chat. I'm just going to send it to you really quickly. But this is the reason why they do these things. This is the reason why this was set up, to have a Trump presidencies 1, 2, 3, because they needed to get things done quickly. That's the ruling class, the oligarchs, the globalists. They needed to move us in a time of accelerating and getting us into QR codes and whatnot. They're very desperate to hold on to their power, and they get a sense that we are starting to smell their bullshit, but they're still using the same tactics of keeping us divide and conquer, right? Yeah. But I sent that video to you, and the thing that just drives me crazy is, just like on day 2, when Donald Trump of his presidency had Sam Altman and Larry Ellison from Oracle, you know, the AI mRNA vaccine guy, that there's going to be an AI thing go into your body, Matt, find out what you need for an mRNA shot and cater right to your DNA. The guy who says there'll be cameras everywhere, you know, the Oracle guy. And by the way, Candace Owens is putting Oracle commercials on her freaking thing. It's ridiculous. The way those Trump people praise that, because if Joe Biden was doing that, or Kamala Harris was doing that, or any Democrat was doing that, the right would have lost their proverbial mind, right? They would have lost it and said, no way, this is ridiculous. Instead, the Trumpers turn around and get behind it. Well, China's got AI, Matt. We got to compete with them. So we got to do that. And Donald Trump is doing it the right way, because, you know, it was never about reforming the system. They bash the system. They say it's awful, but they never want to reform it. They just want to bring in their management, because what they're trying to say is they were incompetent. The system's okay. It was just bad management. Let's replace the management. Let's keep the CIA. Let's just change the management. Let's keep the FBI. Let's just change the management. All the things, the big government things that they complain about, they're not getting rid of any of them except the ones that they dislike, right? The Department of Education, but they're going to still keep it. It's just bad management. Now you have the situation where these things are coming in, and guess what? The Trumpers, what they're doing after they praise the whole bombing of Yemen, this is what peace through strength means. No, it does not, you asshole. Yeah. They're praising it. This is why they do what they do. The social engineers who put the plans into play for this world, this country, understand that we have a hero worshiping mentality. And I've said this before on many shows. I'll say it again. I never thought we would reach the level of hero worshiping for what we saw with Barack Obama. Couldn't touch the guy. Couldn't criticize his foreign policy. Couldn't criticize his economic policies. If you did, you were a misogynist and you're racist. Yep. I never thought that level of hero worshiping would be ever reached ever before. But now the Trumpers are coming along and saying, hold my beer. They'll go along with anything this guy says, Matt. Yeah, they will. Let's check out the clip here. Snow Himbo. Let me grab it up a little bigger. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
So if you've been paying attention to our content here at Pearl Pilled, we did predict that within 4 years, Donald Trump would implement digital ID. And with the recent news pertaining to this real ID thing that's going on, turns out like that's the case. Additionally, what we also predicted was that not only would MAGA not oppose this, they would cheer for it. And sure enough, if you just pay attention to the Bird app, that's exactly what's happening. Keep the riprap off planes. Make travel great again. Looks like another can that was getting kicked down the road has been picked up. Get over it, people. Yes, Trump gets shit done. There's nothing to justify or defend. So for 4 years of fear-mongering that digital ID was correctly a scary technocrat WEF agenda, these people, because it's coming under Daddy Trump, are now cheering for it. Y'all, these people, exactly like liberals, stand for absolutely fucking nothing.
Man. Yeah.
My boys.
Yeah, nailed it.
Himbo. That's my boy Blue.
No, man, this is exactly what they're no different. They're no better. And it feels like there's less of us now in this space. Like you thought, I don't know. This is like, here we are celebrating the 100th episode, thinking that we're building something, and it feels like we're building something. But as we're watching this last 3 months unfold, you're seeing that like there are people going back even harder into their tribes, and then there's less of us here saying exactly what he's saying. What Snow's saying is that they're just as bad as they're over here, and like, well, no, this is how tribalism works, and we can't have a real discussion about what is happening that both parties are guilty of, both tribes are guilty of. And again, there's less of us in the space right now, and I think this thing's unavoidable. I don't know, and that's why we put it in here in parentheses. There's nothing we can do about it except maybe yell and complain. But what are we going to do, Craig? What can we do about this?
Well, the only thing we can do is continue to complain about it and do shows about it and point it out and hope that some people come along. I mean, I think it was a great event that Steve threw his third eye carnival. He's taking his group and he's bringing people into an event, a setting that's not like just a bunch of panels or a conference or a meeting. It's music and comedy and people eating and sitting together and talking and stuff. And the idea that T. Snyder brought to the whole Third Eye Carnival is to bring in people, a normie, and bring them along and let them check it out. So, I was at an event and there was a couple normies at this event that we were sitting around talking about. We were they had questions. We were laying it out. Some of them, it was a little bit too overbearing for them, and I don't think they'll ever do it again. But having these type of events and just simply talking about it. Yeah. One of the shows I do watch every week is Gerald Salente's show with Judge Napolitano, right? Gerald Salente is my spirit animal. Him and Don DeBar are two mentors of mine. They're two Italian guys that I love. I broke bread with these guys. I can pick up the phone and speak personal issues about them and stuff. But I watch his show every week with Judge Knapp. And his rage, I feel his rage. You know what I'm saying? You would never guess that Gerald Salente was a regular on Alex Jones before Alex Jones just recently kind of gave him the boot, right? Well, I don't think he's made it vocal, but he's not on the show anymore. And Gerald Salente did a show. You wouldn't believe that Judge Knapp was at Fox News for 10 years. These guys speak the truth of all times. And that's all we can do is speak the truth. He talks about the media that's so paid off. It is. They're prostitutes, he calls them. So the only thing we can do, and we do feel, listen, I feel hopeless at times, helpless and hopeless, right? Like, what is going to change this fucking machine? And not just the fact that, it's hard to take on this crazy mechanism that's here. And this is what Donald Trump is bringing in. He's bringing in a technocratic age, fourth industrial revolution, the Great Reset. It is here right now, today, under Donald J. Trump. So you see this mechanism. You see how powerful it is. You see they can swing people left and right. But they got us so divided. They got us so divided that it makes me even more feel more helpless nowadays. And we got to figure a way to get past it. And, I mean, you saw him point out that all these people are praising it. Meanwhile, digital passports under Biden, when he signed on to it, at the World Economic Forum, people were going crazy about it. But now, it's okay because it's Daddy Trump. And the MAGA media, just ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Just
everything ridiculous. Everything they were supposed to before, we thought we agreed on, freedom of speech. We thought we agreed on right to privacy, bodily autonomy. But we knew, come on, maybe we should have seen the red flags. We shouldn't be so surprised that this happened. It's hurtful in the sense that it feels like we're losing ground, but we shouldn't be surprised if we look at people's behavior. It's always been leading to this. It's tribalism. That's it. That's what it is. And this is something we all have to get ready for. It's May 7th. The TSA begins Real ID, full enforcement on May 7th. There's no going back, Craig.
A passport is okay. You don't need a Real ID if you have a passport, right? Is that still okay?
No, I think you need your Real ID.
Passport. Okay, I would assume, because you send your goddamn fucking birth certificate in. I usually travel with my passport no matter where I go, just in case I want to get the hell out of Dodge. And
now the good news is, for me and Leslie, is we have the global entry TSA check. So that's like got lucky with that one. But when that runs out, I'm sure by now that I've been red flagged, we've all been red flagged, I might not be able to renew that when that comes up. But and eventually they're going to get us all for whatever. It's, we just got to, like you said, keep having these conversations, keep shouting loud, and hopefully we can win a few more people over out of the tribe.
Yeah.
And, into with a real people's movement against the power. That's what we have to do. So
I'm gonna be a little bit different pasta moving forward. I think I've already had this kind of turn, and I started with the libertarians like Dave Smith and Clint Russell and Angela. I'm not gonna be nice anymore. I'm gonna start poking. And when it comes to people like Libby Evans and John Allen, all these other people who are on Bannon and Tim Cass, have us on. Have the stones to have us on.
Yeah.
I said this to my friend Gerard Michaels last week. He goes, I appreciate you playing away games, buddy. You go and talk. I'm like, yeah, I do that. But the problem is there's a bunch of us anti-imperialist leftists. We're homeless. We don't have a party, right? This is what the show's about. There's people like Garland Nixon out there and Wilmer Leon, his partner, and Rachel Blevins and Mark Sloboda and stuff. These right-wingers, these conservatives avoid us like the plague. They really do. They don't want to have us on their shows. They don't want to talk to us because they rather talk to the synthetic left, the culture war left, because they're so over the top that they look so stupid and they make themselves look smart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Libby Evans never has me on. I did wipe, I wiped the floor with her at the what was it called? Whatever, and I did with her and John Allen and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I called them out on everything, and it was 1 versus 4 at the Minds Festival. But I did it in a respectful way. You think they'd have me on? You think Tim Cass, when he wants to talk about elections with anybody, he'd have me on? No. They avoid us. And he was never a leftist anyways. So stop talking that Tim Cass was a leftist and stuff. Joe Rogan might have voted for Bernie and leftist before, but he wasn't like a really hardcore leftist anyways, an anti-imperialist leftist. These guys have always had a thing against China. They've always kind of justified America's needs. And that's the whole thing. When you hear people out there talking about Mao and Stalin being awful, killing 100 million people, it's like the fish that got away. Every time the story, it gets bigger. It's not that I want to protect Mao or protect or idolize Stalin. No, the reason why they talk like that way about them is because they want to sell you as America's dropping nuclear bombs on other countries as the lesser of two evils. Well, America has to do it, but look what China did. Look what Russia did. The Soviet Union and Stalin killed 100 million people each. Those are the real evil guys, We're still fighting for decency. That's what they're trying to sell you. That's why they go after. That's why you got that whole group of people who blame the Jews for everything. Everything's the Jews' fault. Everything. That they're trying to sell you the Bolshevik revolution right now. Candace Owens did this, right? And she's done this on shows without getting pushback. It's ridiculous. She's trying to sell you the Bolshevik revolution as Jews killing Christians. No. Nice fucking try. No way. Just like her, just like the CIA and everybody else who tells you this lie, is they don't want you to ever believe there could be a workers, everyday people, 99% revolution. They don't want you to believe that. That's why they're telling these lies now with all this shit. I know I'm kind of talking all over the place, but it all kind of...
No, you're still talking the theme, the connector
I'm
theme.
there in the theme, but that's what's going on right now. That's what we're dealing with.
Tribalism. And even Candace Owens, as much as she's been on point about the genocide in Gaza, there's still tribalism involved because she's still beholden to her Christian church. And that's the...
She still voted for Trump.
She still voted for Trump, yeah.
She still pushed for Trump.
Yeah, there's
most Zionist of all times, and this is awful, but still vote for Donald Trump. Get the F out of here with that crap.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and actually, you know what? Before we stop top censored news, I'm just because we skipped by it here, the number 3 story, just real quick here, because you saw this on the beginning of the countdown. I'm not going to say it. I just want you to see this. This is really funny. This is the landing, because we covered this on This Week in Hollywood earlier on Tuesday, but we missed this one.
By the way, genius, Matt, to play the fucking the spy who shagged me.
Yeah, spy who shagged me.
Genius.
Good call. This is an act. Look, I know people put whoever edited this put some emoji fun things over people's heads, but watch what happens here. I'm not going to say anything. Let your eye do the work for you. Watch this. Just in case. So this is where we saw it yesterday. That's Jeff Bezos opening the door with a crowbar. But before he does that,
wait, go back inside. Go back inside.
The door already opened. And then this is where the footage started from. So we didn't see this yet on Tuesday. And then if you see closer, you can see he's just pretending to crowbar that thing open. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not jumping to any conclusions. I'm just letting people know that this happened. You want to see it again? Here, just one more time. This, just so you guys understand, this is the footage they didn't show you when they played it on mainstream. And we're just finding this out today. I wish they didn't do the emojis. That makes it look kind of goofy. But this is real footage.
But did you see the person you run up and say, no, close the door, close the door?
Like, yeah, right here. This is it.
Close the door.
No. Okay. And reset back to one and action. It's theater. It's theater. That's it. What more can we say? And it makes these type of memes all the more funny. Again, I won't say anything. I'm just putting up the meme. It makes it's theater. You see the sound stage in the meme, 1969, and you got 2025. That's why these memes are going around, because it presents as theater. Lights, camera, action. That's what we're looking at. Anyways, just throwing it out there. Not drawing any conclusions here.
Bill Hicks, right?
Was that?
Americans, go back to sleep. Your government has found out what you're doing. Americans, go back to sleep. Your government has found out what you're doing. Here, American Gladiators, watch this. In fact, we got 52 channels of this same crap, so you'll be distracted. Go back to sleep, America. Your government has already got it covered for you.
That's right.
It's the entertainment. It's the bullshit. And then you got people like Rogan going, oh, Elon saved those astronauts over there. How come they didn't have a live stream on that shit over there and stuff like that? Yeah. How come we're not talking about the 15 paramedics in Gaza that got us killed assassination style? And nobody's talking about it, right? How come we're not talking about that, Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan conveniently, slips by that story. But we cover it here on our shows, and that's why we bring you top censored news of the week.